little darling. Here comes the sun. It's all right. Hey guys. Woo! I have been grinding for the last crazy number of hours, and I am so happy to have gotten the nature unit study out. Really comprehensive this week, but I wanted to get it out because there was so much going on with it this week. It was really a 3-part study, and I wound up until about 1 in the morning last night getting it ready. I was up at 6:30 and then right back to that grind. But needless to say, that's out. Very excited about it, excited to talk about it, and I'm going to go grab TikTok and we'll get them on the line. No one cares about that video. Go away, video. All right. All right, here we go. Let's go. Let's grab TikTok. We'll call it Homeschool and Homestead. And Homestead. Oh, hey, Melissa. And Homestead. Okay, bada boom. And let's do this thing. Oh, I forgot to bring water out here. All right. I'm not half the streamer without a cup of water. All right. We will make do. Go live in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, TikTok. It is a beautiful day here in the overcast south, but I know behind those clouds, the sun is shining. And if you are anything like me, with the new school year approaching, you are very happy that your child will not have to go through the drudgery that is public school. Because whether you are just upset with the indoctrination, whether you are upset with the perverted age-inappropriate messaging that they teach children, or the fact that they teach children that their ancestors were bad people, which is a terrible, terrible thing to teach a child, and of course a horrible generalization. Whatever your reason for pulling your child out of public school, the fact that you are looking for alternatives means they are going to get a better education because they are not going to be indoctrinated. They are not going to be taught that they shouldn't question authority. Where, of course, with a real education, we should teach them to question everything. And that includes you, the parent. That includes me, the educator. That includes the guy over there in DC that wants to give you an ouchie. We have to teach our children to question everything. But of course, if they are going to grow up and they are going to be the free and independent people we want them to be, that requires skills. And one of my biggest beefs, one of my biggest grievances with the school system is the lack of skill development, the lack of real world activity that goes on in public school, where children are sitting in the same place 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, 45-minute blocks for 15 consecutive years. And at the end of those 15 consecutive years, you say, well, my child must have skills, right? You've had them for 15 years. I know my 18-year-old is ready to go out and make it in the world. And they say, oh no, the only thing he's qualified to do is ask if you want fries with that. But he could sign on this dotted line and take out $100,000 of student loan debts to major in nonsense. Come on, people, we can do better. And we are doing better. But enough about public school. Let's talk about what matters. So, Homestead and Homeschool, the title of this episode. So this week in our year-long nature unit study, preparations, and we're actually doing a repeat of an assignment we did earlier in the year, but it's such a powerful assignment. It's one that can be done over and over again, and I think, every parent should do this with their children because it's so powerful. So we are having our children set up fall gardens, something you can do as well if it's late in the season, right? No worries. If you want to jump in right now, do it with lettuce. Lettuce grows fast, right? You could jump in right now, A little late in the season, your children will have no problem. But what we're having the children do is get a compass or your phone, because we all have a compass app, go outside, walk this way, walk that way, and figure out which part of their yard is to the north, which part is to the south, east, west. You guys get it? And then sit down with a piece of paper and draw out a map of the property where they live. Draw their house, draw the driveway, make sure the front of the house is in the south if the front of the house is in the south, right? Draw the shed in the back, draw the dog house, whatever it might be. And then the next day you have your child wake up early in the morning, they take their map and they take a yellow colored pencil, and at 7 a.m. they walk outside, they look up in the sky and say, wow, the sun is in the east. And they go to their map and they draw the sun in the east. And then at 12 o'clock, the sun is in the south. At 2 o'clock, it's still in the south. At 3 o'clock, it's still in the south. And by 7 o'clock at night, the sun is in the west. But you have them draw where the sun is on their map. And they realize that the sun is actually a clock in the sky, which is a great realization for many people and something that all children should be taught. Then they could take their map and they can choose the best garden location. Now, you might want to have your child look at the seed packet first, right? Because some crops require full sun, will need 6 to 8 hours of sun. Other crops need partial sun. So they might only need 4 to 6 hours of sun. And based on that information, along with their map, they could decide which location is the best garden location. And then next week, because we are going into the winter, we're actually going to be having the children build little to more complex greenhouses depending on what they and their parents want to do. But they pick their garden location and they are ready for their fall garden. But enough about fall gardens. Let's talk about what we've done so far. Let's talk about the spring and the summer. And by the way, if you haven't been doing this with your child, I promise you will see how pertinent what I'm discussing is to the way you educate your child. So one of the things our students are doing, and I'm going to go back and answer all your questions. I just like to get through what I wanted to talk about first. Otherwise, I get sidetracked. I start fighting with trolls. Anyway, so one of the things we're doing is we are doing an end of summer or fall business event designed to get the children entrepreneurial experience. And last week, the children just brainstormed 3 to 4 ideas of things they can do for their big fall event. And this week, what we're going to have them do is determine when and where their event's going to be, what product or service they're going to offer, who their target customers are going to be, and what materials they're going to need. So last week they did the brainstorming. Now they're going to answer those questions. And for some children, that will be a little front yard farmer's market with the crops they grew this summer. For other children, that will be a bake sale with the crops they grew this summer. Or if they didn't, or their crops died, because that happens, they'll go to the grocery store. Maybe they'll get cookies, flour, whatever it is. They'll make cookies or whatever they want to bake, pies, I don't care. And they could host a bake sale. Maybe if you have a younger child and you don't want to do all that with them, they're 4 years old, set up a lemonade stand. But the important thing is the mindset development and the experience, and that we're having them plan this out and realize what they are capable of doing in the world. Right? You want to show them that there's a world of abundance, that they could take something in their mind, turn it into a product or service, and offer that product or service at a fair price, and people will want to do business with them. Right? You know, it's so funny because I was talking to my wife I was talking to Nicole about how some of these companies, they make food and they sell products, but they know they have toxic stuff in them. And I say, they have to look at God. They have to look at God when they die. You know, you got a lot of people like, I get like the criticisms I'll get online from trolls, and I think it's funny. And they're like, oh, because children should be doing business because everything's about money. Well, business isn't bad if you're standing behind a product you believe in. What I do isn't bad. I write books. I wholeheartedly believe in them. I make educational services because I believe it's going to improve the life drastically of the people that I reach. There's nothing wrong with that. And you want to teach your children that from a young age. But I get like these socialist communist types and they can't help themselves. Like, oh my God. It's like, move along, listen and learn. Listen and learn. So you have your child set up a bake sale or a lemonade stand or a farmer's market and start the planning of it. And over the next few weeks, we'll have them actually start to work out all the details, make their marketing plan, whether that's a front yard sign, whether that's a video, whatever it is, whatever their marketing plan is. Some students might do their event at a local church or a local community event or something like that, right? There are so many different ways they can take it, but you're teaching your children to do these entrepreneurial things. So we are preparing for our fall gardens. We're getting ready for our fall business event. And the last thing we're doing, I told you this was a jam-packed unit study this week, is we are teaching our children, this is the second week, about seed preservation. And last week we did dry seed preservation, where they basically learned how to ferment tomato seeds so that they could preserve them for 3 to 10 years. And this week they're going to learn how to do dry seed preservation, which most seeds are dry seeds, right? Like peas and green beans, right? So this week they're going to take green beans, dry them out, put them in a pillowcase, bang the pillowcase against the wall. This is called threshing. It's an actual process. That separates the beans from the pods, right? Then they take the beans, lay them out for 3 days, let them dry out, put them in an airtight container, and then they have stored their green bean seeds for the next 4 years. They should be good. Thank you, Ashley, for that. So that's what I wanted to cover today. I'm going to go back and answer all your questions, comments now about whatever. And shameless plug, if you are interested in what I do, www.classicallearner.com. Homeschools Connected is our private homeschool community. And with the discount code FREEDOM, all lowercase, you could join for the very high price of $10 a month. All right, so good morning, Melissa. Right? Raise free critical thinkers. Absolutely. Teach them to question everything. My banner on my TikTok page used to be, it's not anymore. Now it's my Cubs to Bears banner. But, I'm never shy about marketing. But my banner on my Classical Learner Twitter used to be a graffiti. And someone graffitied in New York, question everything. And then someone came underneath it and wrote, why? And I just loved that. It really captured the spirit of the idea behind teaching your children to question everything. Question everything. And the guy comes behind it, why? Because that's the right answer. That's the right answer to question everything. Why should you question everything? Well, let's get into the history of corruption. Let's get into the history. I posted a video just now on the classicallearner.com _ page I have on this platform, right? It's classicallearner.com _ It's on this platform. Just posted it right before I came here. And I covered 2 things. And when you understand these 2 events alone, you understand why you have to question everything in this world. Event 1. After World War I, the Rockefeller, the Carnegie, whatever, I don't care. And the Guggenheim Foundations got together and they decided that they didn't want America to get back to an anti-war mindset. And they wanted to figure out how to do that. So they got together and they determined that the most effective way to do that would be to alter the American understanding of history. And how do you do that? History education. So they gave out a couple of $100,000 in college grants, which was a tremendous amount of money at that time, to 20 hand-picked students throughout the country. And they took these students and they flied them across the ocean to London. They had a meeting in London, said, we're offering this grant money. Magic comes with a price now, doesn't it? Well, 10 years later, those students, those handpicked students, made up the governing board of the American Historical Association. And the American Historical Association, especially in that time, right, we're talking about the 30s, was responsible for best practices as to how history teachers are educated and what goes into history textbooks. So they took over the way history teachers, school teachers, are educated and what goes into history textbooks. Think about that. Well, in a similar fashion, there was a report, Flexner Report, published in 1910. And it was funded by the Carnegie Institute, the Rockefeller Foundation, in partnership with the American Medical Association. This is right in the report, all the funding. You know, for anyone out there, you know, like, blah, 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 like, yeah, I get it. It's literally in the report. Okay. So they partnered, and that's where the came from. And after that report was released, the American Medical Association, who partnered with the Rockefellers and Carnegie, were given control of which universities, medical schools, would receive accreditation or have their accreditation pulled. They were able to take over the way in which future physicians were educated. What constitutes a worthy education in that industry? History, education, medical education. Question everything. Why? You see? Question everything. Why? And that's why we teach our children to question everything. By the way, I just released a unit study, secondary education, on that topic, on the medical industrial complex. There is nothing like it available on the internet. Nothing like it. Life skills is a must. Absolutely. Yes, fall garden parents, cabbage, potatoes, beets. I got to get into beets. I never loved beets because they taste like dirt, but they're the healthiest thing for you. Do you have curriculum available for advanced learners? Also, do you offer a certificate of completion? Well, I know I have to get Melissa hers. Yes, if you complete a course, if your child completes the medical industrial complex course, just let me know and I'll send you a certificate. But I do have to make those up, so I know that's something that would be valuable to our community. And Nicole actually made some for the propaganda class, but I need to send them out. Yeah, we have stuff for all age. And like I said, there's nothing on the internet quite like what we do. Lex Friedman is dangerous. 18-minute inspirational video on YouTube ends with a poem. I've never listened to Lex Friedman. I know of him because he has been recommended to me a lot. But usually when people are recommended to me a lot, I don't even watch them, because when you roll in the circles that I roll in, people aren't recommended. They are aggressively suppressed. So it's like, once you understand, and I'm not saying you don't understand, but once you really get insight into and understand, I've had, 80,000 followers twice. Poof, like magic, right? When you start to roll in the circles I roll in, you see that the people that are really, really truth tellers aren't recommended. And that doesn't mean Lex Friedman might be saying a lot of true things. Let me give an example. Andrew Tate right now, right? The guy's everywhere, right? You're like, oh my God, he's such a truth speaker. And he does. He speaks a lot of truth. He gives a lot of phenomenal insight. But the reason he's being recommended is because he has been put onto the scene. He has been entered into the show as this is how it operates. These are gatekeepers. right? And you have to, when you have that type of, think about what I described with the Rockefellers and Carnegies, right? When you have that type of leverage and you're doing that type of thing in the world, humanity to them is a farm, right? And you have your lions and your cows and your sheeps and your pigs and different, they require different pens. And because of that, you will have idols, false idols, which is why I always tell people, never make me into an idol. Never make me, I'm a guy, right? I give information and you should analyze that information. And I'm wrong. I've been wrong plenty, right? I have no problem saying that, right? They want every group to have idols. So they'll give them their idols. They'll say, here is your idol. Look how he says all of the things that our data that we've collected says you should love, hook, line, and sinker. This is your guy. Idol worship is probably the worst sin. It's why they get the children on the athletes, right? Don't you want to be like LeBron? They get them on there young. Look at all the beautiful Hollywood celebrities. Look how glamorous they are. Look how virtuous they are. Unless you bring up Roman Polanski. Not so virtuous now. Oh, I love getting dramatic. If anyone wants to clip stuff like that, just clip it and ba-boom, ba-boom. Hey, Tiff Gog. Username error. I'm pretty sure that's you, Gunter, right? Your username always switches also. Gunter, I'm going to give you control of the survival tab in Homeschools Connected. I don't know if you heard that. You're just going to run it. I just need to, I'm a little technologically, I need to get on there and work that out. I also have to do a few things for Melissa. Nicole should probably have more access to things. Children should learn about business. It gives them leadership skills and gives them self-motivation. Yeah, absolutely. And confidence. Absolutely. And mindset and experience. I did Girl Scouts growing up. We sold cookies. That's cool. I don't know how to do most of this. You'll learn. And one of the best parts about homeschooling is we can learn these things with our children. The community is as much for the parents as the children. Just jumped. Hold on. You and your team are educating parents and children in an amazing way. Thank you. I live in Washington State, bro. How can I enroll my kids from the camp? How can I enroll my kids from the camp and homeschool my kids? You mean disenroll them from... Well, if you want to homeschool, go to hslda.org, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. They have a map of the United States. Click on, in your case, Washington. The regulations and the paperwork you need to file your intent to homeschool will come up. Make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's. Get formal thing. You always want to make sure you do the right internet problems. Come on. You always want to make sure you file the proper paperwork. With the internet problems. Come on. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, all right. You want to make sure you file the proper paperwork so that the district or the state can't give you any problems. Love you, man. Do you have anything for young kids? Yeah, we have a ton of stuff for young kids. A lot of hands-on STEM experiments, hands-on science experiments, actually designed to teach the scientific method as much as it's designed to teach the fun science. Construction projects, a lot of stuff like that, math activities. We did a cool writing activity we uploaded this week where children do a descriptive narration of a storm rolling in, and then they do a narration, they do an observation page where what do you see, what do you hear, what do you smell, what do you touch, what do you feel and taste. I mean, obviously the taste isn't that relevant in that one, but you guys get it. And then they actually write a story out, and then it goes over how to teach them to be more proficient writers. I just got on the internet to find homeschool stuff for my state. I'm going to homeschool my kids next year. That's awesome. And you already are homeschooling them. Just develop that mindset in yourself that you are an educator and just start living that. My kids are 1 and 2. Yeah, do a lot of hands-on activities, get them involved in everything, anything cool for their fine motor. 3-piece shape sorter, stacking blocks, building. My TikTok caption, question everything in the search for truth. That's based. Yeah, go to hslda.org. Yeah, this is all public information. Yeah, they don't even hide it. I mean, you could find all the information I went over. We are definitely interested in the medical course. Yeah, it's not just about, it's about the complex. So what is the funding? Like, what financial levers are used to control the industry, right? What people are involved in controlling the industry? How do you get back to the primary historical documents? And it's really about learning how to figure out what's true, what's false, and decipher this world, which could be very tricky and very confusing. My kids love your books. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, politicians are just puppets. They're just puppets. It's all a show. Lex is a fellow Rogan gatekeeper. Yeah, Rogan's a big-time gatekeeper. I think that's so funny where, people will be like, Rogan's giving it to him straight. And like, he just got a $200 million contract. I don't think you understand how this stuff works, man. I don't think you understand how this gatekeeper stuff works. Yeah, of course. History and science are controlled by the almighty dollar. How do you get access to the medical course? So anyone who joins Homeschools Connected gets access to all of the educational material I put out. So it's $10 a month with the discount code FREEDOM. You get access to the courses I teach, the Bill of Rights and American Revolution, propaganda, media industrial complex, our science curriculum, STEM curriculum, construction, a whole bunch of other stuff, the medical industrial complex study, our community, which is probably more valuable than anything I do because it's such an amazing community of like-minded homeschool parents. You could hear Uncle Sam going over. Just gonna let Uncle Sam. That's your tax money. It's Uncle Sam. Those are United States fighter jets. If you need graphics and computer and support, let me know. Yeah, email that to me. I don't right now, but when I do, I'll star you. Here's another fighter jet going over. serve you as you serve the people. Really, really appreciate that. So I hope I could do work with you. That's cool. We tried to sign my son up for the Boy Scouts to learn some skills. I was confused about religion. Well, with the Boy Scouts, I'm fine with the Boy Scouts, but I wouldn't let my children do the Boy Scouts unless I was personally going to go to every single event, because I just don't trust the institution based on, you guys do not trust it. Yeah, keep good records for sure. My kids have no birth certificate or SS card. Is that a need for homeschool? I don't know. I know that's above my head. I think I take it you have gone the sovereign route, which one of the things we actually try to educate the children on are those type of choices that you can make in life and how to go about them. But in terms of me giving you advice on that, I don't know. I don't even know if HSLDA, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, would know what to do with that. Like, I spoke with them on the phone. I was helping Pat Life of the Pat Life podcast, Pat Daly, P.A.T_life, set up. He was trying to make a school where he lives. And we wound up getting a lawyer on the phone, and I was helping Pat set it up. And we were like, well, how do you avoid being under daycare or private school law? And basically the lawyer was like, you can't, right? But later on I learned through meeting people and whatnot, that you can, allegedly, I'm not giving advice, I don't give legal advice, but this person had done that by setting up a PMA, a private membership association, right? So, but that has to do with the school. Now, in terms of, you'd have to speak with someone knowledgeable on the matter, and I'm not qualified for that. Uncle Sam's busy. I hope they're not training for something. For Florida, I did not send in my birth certificate or Social Security. It's extremely important to document and keep records, file all necessary paperwork with your state. Yeah, I mean, you want to make sure you keep really good records, and I also recommend making sure you file that paperwork. Now, again, if there's someone who has gone that route, like has really gone the sovereign type route, they're in a different category, a different boat, but I'm not qualified to be your advisor on that. I won't, I don't even want you to think for a second that I am, because I'm not. So maybe one day, but I'm not right now. What if my daughter likes to sew? Well, you'll be happy to hear, allegedly hear, that Melissa, RVing Across America blog, just uploaded a bunch of great resources to help teach children how to sew, and if they want to go that route. And we actually have about, I think, 5 or 6 young girls in our community right now who are working on their own clothing. I don't know if clothing line, but they're making their own clothing, and they're looking to sell them at farmers markets or online. So we have a lot of students engaging in that activity, which is super cool. Yeah, RVing Across America just posted a few cool programs for homeschools connected in that. My child is studying environmental policy, which parlays into environmental law. That's awesome. And the only thing I would recommend is I would recommend also getting into Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, and the funding behind that stuff. I have a 3 and 2-year-old. I mean, our year-long nature unit study is really phenomenal for young children. Some of the stuff is over their head, but you just skip that part with them. But in terms of the activities they do, it's phenomenal. We have a lot of STEM activities that they could engage in, and things of that nature. So try to have as much stuff for the young kids as we can. And yes, $10 a month, but you have to use the discount code FREEDOM, all lowercase. Otherwise, it's $15 a month. So $10 a month with freedom. Yeah, findings based on funding, right? That is God science, right? That is not the method. Lost my spot. What'd I miss? So being brainwashed in a puppy school is better? I don't know. I guess I missed someone's comment. Kid from public school this year. This is great. Melissa the Troll Slayer. I love it. That's your new name. Gunter just gave you an official nickname. First they gave us Xena the Warrior Princess, and now we have Melissa the Troll Slayer. I love it. Hey, Jen. Bye-bye, snowflakes. Boy Scouts have gotten in a lot of trouble. Yeah, you gotta be careful with that stuff. We're not sovereign. They were born at HOS hospital, but I never you never sent in. Interesting. I would definitely seek counsel on that, you know? I don't know. Yep, the love of a parent will move mountains for their child. If you talk nonsense in here, you will be shown the exit. Yes, I don't care for the trolls at all. Like, they don't add value to us. Like, sometimes they're valuable because, I don't know, they'll get me to go on a rant about something, but, like, I don't like people, these trolls that just, they don't stand for anything, and they just, like, scream about what they're against. Like, I like to surround myself with builders and like community builders, and like Gunter and Melissa and Jen. These are great community builders. Like Homeschools Connected is what it is because I I I'm like a magnet and I attract myself to good people. And that's what I want in my life. I want people that are building community, are supporting one another, are building homeschool stuff, are building families, are building business. You build your way out of hell. You know, you don't complain your way out. You're like, yeah, this is hard. I never sent in any documents for homeschooling. You just got to be careful with that. I would at least speak with someone at HSLDA and get their opinion because you got to be careful with that. But I don't know. Like, yeah, right. They dropped the robot drone bugs on me. CIA drone bugs. But again, like, I'm not a lawyer, I don't give legal advice. I'm like knowledgeable, but that's a realm that, based on my current knowledge set, I have opinions, but I strongly recommend, at least speaking to someone that specializes in that. Yeah, it sounds bad right now. They're not usually this active. They're, most of the day there's not planes going over. But right now they're clearly running some type of training. Actually, today they've been more busy than usual most of the day. But they're usually not. They're shutting me down with plane noise. What if I want to teach my child about propaganda? Well, I offer a course, Foundations of Propaganda, for elementary and middle school, and I use the Cubs to Bears children book series to teach it, so it's based. I show my kids all the news on TV and how they say the same exact thing. I saw another video about that yesterday. There's like the famous one that goes around where they're like, misinformation is, and like there's like, it's an overlap of probably 50 news anchors all saying the same exact thing. They're like, misinformation is dangerous to our society. And it's like, it's super creepy. I just saw another video that someone made of they got caught doing it again, which is really interesting. Try not to acknowledge the trolls. I try not to, but, I can fly a little off the rails sometimes. My midwife told me I had 7 days to turn my daughter's birth certificate to the state would charge me daily. Yeah, like I said, I'm not an expert on that stuff. Whatever you do, be careful. Like, research what you do, Research what you do. Keyboard thugs. I would imagine you have to be careful with Scouts as well, yes. How do I start homeschooling? You go to hslda.org, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, and they have the regulations you need. The key to success is $10 a month. Never made that claim. I said my program is $10 a month. Like, again, do you think it's bad that I have a product? Like, what? That's like that communist socialistic mindset where they're like, oh my God, you're selling something? Like, yeah, I built a business, like from scratch, from my mind, with my blood, sweat, and tears. Like, I spend an insane amount of time building it from the grassroots level, and I provide not a good, a phenomenal product and service to people in an age that it's very much needed. So I would never apologize about that. Oh, that's Gunter. I thought that was someone trolling me. Gunter, you trolling me? I thought I was being trolled. See, I fly off the rails when I think I'm being trolled. Gunter does troll me sometimes, though. I feel like Gunter gets on here with like fake names, trolls me a little bit. Unfortunately, I can't homeschool, but I do combat the school a lot on their lesson plans. And, you know, one of the most powerful things we can do is get involved in your PTA, right? Like, get involved in your school board and those elections and get behind someone that's good. Spend your time, campaign for them, because we need good people in the school systems. I mean, we shouldn't quit on the school systems. We just, you know, like, obviously I'm not going to send my child to an institution that is the way it is, but that doesn't mean we can't fight to make them better. Like, I wouldn't rule out the realm of possibility that one day I run for the school board where I live. I would, you know, I don't see that in the near future, but like on my things I might do, yeah, I could see me doing that. And like, you know, I've oh, plane. I gave a speech in front of the Constitution Party National Convention. I I had a congressman's phone number in my phone. I used to text back and forth with the guy who was running for Congress in another state, and he actually wound up. He got himself in he got himself in a little trouble with the January of 2020 stuff, because he backed that stuff, and he caught himself in some hot water because you know how they turned it into a Salem witch trial after. There was another woman. I don't know if she won, but she was running for Congress in Washington or Oregon, one of those states, and she was talking about me in her speech. So like, I wouldn't even rule out the realm of possibility that one day I'm offered a position as like the head of education in a state or something like that. But and that sounds like prestigious, right? Like, oh, that's so cool. But honestly, I think I'd be able to make, like, if I was the head of a school board, I'd be able to make much more of an impact. The smaller your politics are, the bigger the impact you can make. Like, they want you to think, yell at the president or like the state level, but like, man, and I've been thinking a lot about this lately. How do we educate our children so that they know how? Because I'm not even sure I always know how. Like, I have a lot of learning to do, but they know how to, like, how do you impact your school board? How do you impact who your sheriff is, right? How do you impact who your local legislator is? Like, that is where your power is. And that's what I want the next generation to understand. Like, win at the local level. That's how you win. And if enough people win at the local level, that will start to transcend to the state level and the national level. So, I don't know. I think about these things a lot, but don't quit on, you know, trying to take back our schools as well. I found the lesson plans, but I can't find where you could buy the books. Yeah, if you go to the same page where you downloaded the lessons from at classicallearner.com, you'll see the pictures of the books. Just click on the pictures, and it will take you to checkout. What do you recommend for high school? What do you mean, like, in terms of recommend for what? University of Lincoln has a high school course anyone could enroll. how do we join? Hold on. They are busy right now. You could join at classicallearner.com. It's Homeschools Connected. You'll see it. Just follow the links, and when you sign up, use the discount code FREEDOM, all lowercase, and you get access to all my curriculum. Appreciate your work, brother. You've cultivated an amazing curriculum. Gunter, gotta shake it up. It's hilarious. All right. What are the most important factors to teach in first grade? Critical thinking. There's critical thinking and skill development, right? Young children, I want them doing a lot of hands-on experiments, like a lot of STEM activities, figuring out how to build things, a lot of like hands-on science activities, construction projects, gardening, critical thinking, skill development, right? And then what we do is we mix an entrepreneurial experience, and that can start with lemonade stands, but you want to, it's like the school system will focus on memorize this or memorize that. Like, it's really not that important. Like, it's not memorization, like your children should do some memorization, but really they should be just solving problems, thinking critically, observing their world, writing creatively, those type of activities more than memorizing whatever. They give an actual diploma, and that's what my daughter did, and that's awesome. Yeah, reading, a lot of writing, a lot of reading time in early childhood. Right, one of the freedoms of homeschooling is you can choose multiple curriculums. Your children should study opposing ideology, right? Like, I recommend, like, people ask about high school, I recommend children read everything. Like, I recommend high school students should read the writings of Mean Mr. Mustache, right? They should read the writings of Saul Alinsky and Rules for Radical. They should read the writings of Karl Marx and the Communist Manifesto, right? Like, your children should read all of this stuff, and then they should read the really base stuff as well, obviously. And, I try to give children a foundation in what's based and freedom and the Bill of Rights and American Revolution and, like, how we got here. But you want your children to study, like, you want them to study Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. Children need to understand what the opposition is, or what, all of these different things. The protocols of I'm going to put spacers in between this, the L of, let me put more spaces. You ever see that basketball player, Zion Williams? Right? Like, high school students should read that. So, like, you need your children to read all of this stuff. By the way, I hope you could read between the lines and extrapolate what I actually said there, right? And understand why I have to go to such lengths to say that the way that I did. Like, if you want to understand what controls the world, then just look at why I had to go to such lengths to recommend a book, right? Right? So, the powers that be, if you ever want to know what's in charge of this world, like, figure out what you can't criticize. And by the way, that's not like saying that ideology is in charge. Like, there's a lot of ideologies in charge, but that's one of them that your children should understand. And the most adults, even in the awake community, don't understand it because it's so controlled, where to the point where you can't say a word about it, that even adults that consider themselves awake and think they understand how the world functions, they have no concept of this, right? And like, I don't even really mess with it because I don't, to me, I don't care what these different controlling influences are doing. Like, we just have to build and understand the propaganda and whatnot. But like, understand that these influences are that powerful. And, people just, it's hard to get people to see past what hasn't been introduced to them, especially by their idols. But this stuff is the truth. And this is, you study this stuff and it's like, you know, the schools were never ours, they were the Rockefellers. Well, that's another, we talked about how the Rockefellers took over medicine and the Rockefellers took over the history. Well, in 1903, what's it called? Forgetting the name, I'm blanking out. The Board of Education? The Board of Education? Gunter probably knows. The Rockefellers started giving out huge grants. I think it was to the Board of Education, right? Whatever it was. I'm getting the name of it wrong. And they had Frederick Gates write, the founding documents of that. And by, within 30 years, Rockefeller had given out $180 million in grants toward the education board, and they took over the American education system. So, of philanthropy. Yeah, public schools glorify daycare. Can you name those again? Yeah, there was the protocols. And, I always tell young people that they should listen to their elders and of the basketball player Zion Williamson. He's a good player. Really good dunker. And again, like, don't think, because then you'll get into people who are like, oh my God, it's them, it's them, it's them. Like, that's not right either, right? Like, understand that, how can I break this down? I'm not responsible, and Gunter's not responsible, and Kimmy's not responsible, and Jennifer's not responsible for what the military-industrial complex has done in Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria, right? Like, for them to be like, oh, it's just Americans, like, that's a false categorization, right? So to understand that when there are these controlling bodies, when you find these people that are like, oh, it's that group of people, like, that's wrong. No, like, the baker down the street is not responsible for what's going on there. And I have to talk around it as best I can. Like I said, you can't talk about this stuff, but like, the baker down the street, or like, I grew up with all these people, and these aren't, they're not out to get you. Like, they're regular people, but there are elements within, there's elements that under the same name of what those people, that will do very bad things, right? And it's a category error to be like, it's those people. And that's why I always tell people that I have such respect for Jewish people and Muslim people and Christian people and atheists, as anyone who puts what is right. They are doing what they truly believe is right. I don't have a problem with that person, and they embrace truth. They can't be children of the lie. So these matters, and that's why I don't harp on it. But people ask me, I'll tell you how the world functions, because that's how the world functions. And like I said, you ever want to know true power. Just figure out what you can't criticize. The Board of Education, I'll look it up. I've done the General Education Board. I'm blanking out. I've done videos on it, so I could just go back and watch them. The General Education Board, yes, okay. If you want to read about it, just type in Rockefeller plus General Education Board, and then just start going down that rabbit hole. Love your videos. My son is 1, and I love your videos. Well, welcome, Gab. All right, guys, I caught up on the comments, so I think I'm going to call it a stream on that. So, www.classicallearner.com. Homeschools Connected is the name of our private homeschool community. You get access to all of the courses I teach, Bill of Rights, American Revolution, propaganda that I teach using the Cubs to Bears Children book series, the media industrial complex, our unit studies into fun topics like the medical industrial complex, the Georgia Guidestones, which is all about tracking money, tracking people, and getting back to primary documents, our curriculum on science, which is all about the scientific method, our curriculum on STEM, construction, and a variety of other areas, and we're constantly building out. So Homeschools Connected, use the discount code FREEDOM. You get access to all lowercase. It's $10 a month. You become part of our community. We have literally accumulated thousands of years of homeschool experience between all of our members. And you have a question about homeschooling, the community. I always tell our community, we are only a valuable community if we help each other. When someone has a question, like, you need to take it personal. Like, they have a question, step in and answer. And like Melissa stepped up huge this morning. Someone asked about sewing curriculum, and Melissa came in, bang, bang, bang. She had the answer. That's what makes a community valuable, and that's what makes our community valuable, and we have to be that. And I can't thank Melissa enough for doing that. And we have state groups, so you can connect with people in the state that you live. We have a pen pal program, and it really is a wonderful platform. So anyway, you guys check that out, classicallearner.com, Homeschools Connected, Freedom. And freedom isn't free. We have to earn it every day. I'll try to be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. But like I said, I am putting curriculum development in front of anything else. So if I need a little more time, like today I got the nature unit study out. I was getting that out today. So tomorrow I'll have something else out. So we just have to keep building, doing our thing. And it is what it is, people. All right. Much love. I will now pretend to drink from my straw since I don't have my cup. And count to 10. I got a comment. I got a comment on YouTube yesterday from my stream later in the day on the replay, and someone was like, "This was such valuable content on teaching children to be a good writer. You really went off the rails though with the environmental stuff." And I was just laughing. I was like, I'm going to be me. I don't care. I am going to be me. I haven't structured my life the way I've structured it so that I could be what everyone wants me to be. Anyway, I'm going to restart my 10 count. I'll check out that poem. How dare you? How double dog dare you?